Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday to you, y'all. It is spring, or isn't Sunday the first day of spring? Gosh, y'all know me. I've been counting the days. I hate winter. I love the Lord. I'm not saying that everything He made wasn't good, but man, winter's rough on me. I just don't like the cold. But I'm really excited about the week we've had in the Word of God. I love the story of Joseph, and I love reading it with you. So we're gonna pick up in chapter 43 today, chapter 43, verses 1 to 34, the whole chapter. So as you know, yesterday, Joseph's brothers went to Egypt and they encountered Joseph, but of course they didn't recognize him. Joseph is a pretty good Egyptian now. He spoke Egyptian through an interpreter, and he had a lot of questions about their other brother and their father, but the brothers were never suspicious. In their minds, Joseph is dead. In Joseph's mind, he just doesn't know about these guys. And I've really been reading carefully and trying to figure Joseph out. Well, what is he up to? And I guess I've just come to the conclusion that I don't think that he's trying to punish them. I don't think that he is just enjoying having power over them. Although it would have to be delicious when they all hit the ground and bow before him, when that was his dream, and that was also the dream that got him, thrown into a pit and sold into slavery. So there must be something delicious about that. But Joseph is a very good man. His character has been forged in that a crucible of trials. And so Joseph is different, and we know he's different. What we don't know exactly is if his brothers have changed. Because understand, these are the sons of Jacob, the deceiver. Remember? I mean, it's in Jacob's nature to lie and deceive. And Jacob lied and deceived his way through most of his life. And these are his sons. And the apples haven't fallen too far from the tree. These boys, at one point, were fully capable of killing their brother. They were fully capable of throwing him in a pit. Yesterday, in Reuben's comments, we find out that, they sat down to eat while Joseph was literally pleading for his life. These men were heartless. They were able to look their father in the face and lie to him, and they were able to live with that lie for all of these years. So we know that Joseph has changed. We don't know that they have changed, because do y'all know liars? There's a certain kind of person that outside of the power of the Holy Spirit, they don't really change. They just find new ways to lie. You know what I'm saying? And so Joseph, at this point, he doesn't know if these men have changed or if they just found new ways to lie. And so I believe that what Joseph is doing is, I guess, testing. He really does want to bless them. I think he understands something of God's purpose for his life now. I think he understands something of why everything has turned out as it has, but he doesn't know if he can trust it. He doesn't. Some people you can't bless, you can't help them, and he doesn't know what they'll do. He has no idea. And so, again, when you've been lied to, when you've been thrown in a pit, when you've been discarded, when you've been sold, and forgotten, it's just hard to roll out the red carpet, because you don't know if you're going to be hurt again. You don't know if they're going to lie again. You don't know nothing. And so I think Joseph has carefully just given these brothers an opportunity to regain his trust in small ways. And that's the only way that trust is regained. I've got to see you being honest. I've got to see you coming clean. I've got to see you repentant. And I've got to see that over time. They've lived the lie, for maybe 20 years. And so maybe Joseph needs to see them walk in the truth for just a little while. Do you know what I'm saying? And so, when he takes Simeon and throws him in jail, last time they had a brother in jail and they got money for it, they took the money and run, they sold Joseph and were pleased with that solution. So, they go back, Simeon's, in Egypt now, but, they got money in the bag, for all Joseph knows, those boys will never come back. They still got 10 brothers. They still got one to spare, So I really do think that Joseph, his intention is to bless, but he does not know if he can trust these rat finks, And I don't know if we know that either, unless you've read the whole story. So chapter 43, they're back home. Simeon's still, held hostage by the Egyptian, prime minister. And so I don't know how long they leave him. But the whole issue is they can't go back without Benjamin. Again, I'm wondering if Joseph thinks that maybe they have I mean, again, Benjamin is the youngest, and Benjamin is the only other son of Joseph's mother. They have the same mother. And so I wonder if Joseph is just sort of not sure if they killed him too, or is Benjamin really there, or have they mistreated him? Have they turned all of their, venom, after Joseph is gone, have they turned against Benjamin? I don't know. It almost seems like Joseph needs to see Benjamin. He needs to know. He just needs to know how these guys are. And so notice in chapter 43, the early verses, or verses 8 and 9, it's Judah now who is the spokesperson for the brothers. It's Judah. It's not Reuben. In chapter 42, I think we saw Reuben's final, kind of sputtering out in terms of his influence. Remember, Reuben is the eldest, the firstborn, who slept with his father's, wife, Bilhah. And so we already know Reuben is not really in favor anymore. He's not really going to be, the blessed firstborn. But I think chapter 42, it's when Reuben's he's reduced to complaining with his brothers. And his final word there is, I told y'all, I told, when a former leader is reduced to saying, I told y'all so, I told you so, that is really sort of, he has lost his influence. When you're just saying, I told y'all, he has no more influence over his brothers. So it's Judah. And I just want to call your attention to that, because remember, it's going to be Judah who's going to receive a special blessing from his father Jacob. And it's going to be Judah through whose line the Messiah, Jesus, will come. Not the line of Joseph. Understand? It's Judah. Judah, in some ways, is the one to watch. You with me? And so it's Judah who speaks up, and it's Judah who persuades his father finally to allow Benjamin to go. So the brothers return to Egypt. They stand before Joseph. They bow before Joseph one more time. Notice when Benjamin's with them, it's all 11 bowing down. So it's the fulfillment of that, the 11 stars. You know what I mean? The 11 stars that bow down. At that point, that's the fulfillment there of that. All 11 are bowing down before Joseph. It looks like Joseph is he himself is softening. He cries again in this passage when he receives Benjamin. But I think he's trying to soften up the brothers for one last big test. So he brings them into a state dinner. He gives the steward all these instructions. They give their whole story. They apologize for the silver they took home with them. They brought back double, and the steward just sort of says, "Hey, your account is balanced, and God just wanted y'all to have, it's a God thing. God wanted y'all to have that." And so they're allowed to keep their money, right? And so Simeon is released. I mean, everything seems to be going their way, and it's almost like Joseph is letting them relax, because again, he wants to know if they've changed or if they've just found new ways to lie, And so he gets them a little bit drunk. He gets them just a little bit comfortable, and he brings them into the dinner. A couple of things I just point out as we wrap up here. First off, notice how for the brothers, look at verse 18. Yeah, 18. They're saying, man, he's just pretending that he's going to pretend we stole it. Then they're going to make us slaves. I think it's interesting that phobia, that fear of becoming slaves in Egypt, because you know what? They're going to become slaves in Egypt. This is how the children of Jacob, the sons of Jacob, end up in Egypt, and in generations, they're all going to be slaves. I just think it's interesting, that foreshadowing. We're going to be slaves, because not like you think you are, but yes, you are. I think that's just interesting there. I also think it's just really, really interesting the way Joseph at the end, he seats them in birth order. And the brothers are like, whoa, what? Because again, same thing. It's like, that's a demonstration of knowledge that the random, Egyptian prime minister should not have. And then notice that once they're all seated there at the dinner, he gives Benjamin 5 times, like everybody else just gets like 1 chicken leg, and Benjamin gets 5 chicken legs, and 5 pieces of cake, like 5 times everybody else. It's a deliberate display of favoritism. Why do you think that is? Again, my first reading, I was tempted to think, yeah, Joseph, he loves one brother more than the others. He's just like his daddy. But no. I think this is a test. I think it's a test. I think he wants to see if these, brothers are still the jealous, violent, lying, no good, brothers that he knew years ago. I think this is a test. Like I say, show Benjamin some favoritism to see if they turn green with envy right there at that table. One more thing about the table. Notice how it just kind of gives us this little detail that the Egyptians don't eat with the Hebrews. Even Joseph, who's their prime minister, there is this certain lack of esteem, this racial prejudice against the Jews. Again, they're just these little seeds planted here in the story that again foreshadow what we know ultimately, how a new Pharaoh will arise who doesn't remember Joseph, and Jews will become slaves in Egypt. Anyway, that's far in the future. Right now, we're going to pick up tomorrow actually Monday in chapter 44 and pick up the story. It's just so good. It's just so good. Tomorrow, Monday morning, it breaks. Joseph breaks because again, ultimately, he realizes that his brothers are changed, that they're somewhat repentant, and it's time to come clean. I love you guys so much. It's been a good week in the Word, and I'm looking forward to next week as well. I love these stories, and we're getting really close to the end of the book of Genesis, so we're going to have to talk about what comes next. Listen, have a good weekend. Stay in the Word. Again, Monday morning, chapter 44, verses 1 to 17, just half of that chapter 44, verses 1 to 17. Enjoy the rain today. Enjoy the springtime, and enjoy every single gift that God gives you, including the Word